Hello and welcome back to the DayLuna Human Design Podcast with your hosts, Dana and Shayna. Today we are having our special 200th episode podcast, and we're so excited. I can't believe that it's been 200 episodes. That's literally insane. And I feel like our whole lives are completely different than when we started this podcast. And even listening back to some of the older episodes, if you are one of those listeners who's done that, like you deserve an award because that's a lot of hours. But also, we're just such different podcast hosts. We're such different people than we were when we first
Yeah,
started this
we've
podcast.
evolved
So
so much in that time, so
but at the same
much.
time, it's like there's so much valuable information in those early episodes that really teach you the foundations of human design that if you come in right here at the end, you kind of can be missing some major gaps. It's like you should go back and listen to those episodes, especially just like the foundational human design ones. Like you don't have to listen to every single episode that we do, but there's just so much juicy goodness, and part of me is like, let's re-record those and um release a 2.0 version, but then we'll be at 400 episodes. So we're here, we've arrived to 200. It's
Yeah, it feels
crazy.
like a celebration and, so far into our journey with this podcast. I mean, it's been over 5 years now, and, it's really cool that this whole journey with the podcast, it's been a long one, and still, this feels like our
Hmm.
favorite place in DayLuna, our favorite place to express ourselves. The amount of community, like soul family community that we have created in our lives because of this podcast, you don't even know how much it nourishes us. Like, we genuinely feel like the people who listen to this podcast and have these conversations with us on the podcast Astral Plane are our people. Like, we are
Yes.
riding the same frequencies. I know that we say that all the time, but I truly mean it. And it's just so beautiful that out of all of the ways that we've grown and shifted and evolved, and things have, come to cycles have come to an end for us in this time. This podcast is something that feels like it just is completely still thriving and like growing in our hearts. So we're excited to even dedicate more space into our podcasting and to share episodes that we really believe are going to be supportive for where we're going in the future. And honestly, like listening to other people's podcasts, I listened to this incredible podcast with Deepak Chopra on the Jay Shetty show recently,
Oh,
where
I
they
started
talk
that.
about, you started it. It's amazing.
Yeah, so
Honestly, it's
good.
mind blowing. And they talk about the future of humanity and our evolution and how AI is a huge point, which we just recorded a spiritual sleepover segment where we talked a lot about AI. So it was really fascinating to listen to. But I was just getting so fired up about the future of humanity, the way that we're evolving. And one of the big points was that technology is growing so quickly right now, but it's dangerous when technology is advancing further than spirituality and awareness. So, in order to make technology, all of the advances and all of the changes that are happening happen in their highest expression, we need a foundation of spirituality and self awareness. And it just made me feel so grateful for the work that we do, for the complete gift that human design is for humanity, for the ability to have conversations that are deep and soul nourishing, that spread awareness, that help us connect to each other and to ourselves so that can become more loving, compassionate, aware beings. Like, it was this moment landing in my heart that, like, having these conversations and listening to these conversations is truly so important, and how impactful and healing it is. So in that name, we were really thinking about, okay, it's our 200th episode. We've come this far, and where are we going in the next 200 episodes or whatever it ends up being? And thinking about, what do all of our listeners really need to know? What do we need to share with the world that is going to be the most supportive for exactly where we are in this point and where we're going in the next year ahead of us?
Yes. So this episode, we want to share the top 10 things that if the world knew would literally change the world. Like if every single person was taught these things in school or was shared these things by a colleague or a loved one or whatever, like literally would change the world, would change how we treat each other, would change the things that we're building and doing and creating. Like it just is so empowering and also just helps bring you back on your geometric path of ease and less resistance and alignment just by learning these few things. Obviously, there's strategy and authority, right? Like that goes without saying that we didn't put that in these 10 things because that's like the main thing. If everybody knew their strategy and authority, obviously everything would change. But there's 10 other things that are life changing. And sometimes I want to scream them at someone, but I have to wait for the invitation. So I just bite my tongue if I don't. But I do want to add, we are doing a 200th episode giveaway. So if you are wanting to be entered in to win a free reading from Dana and I, you can leave a review on this podcast and follow us on Instagram, take a screenshot and email it to us at hello@daylunalife.com. And if you can put in the subject line, big love, that way we can organize them all and make sure that we get your entry, then we will put you in to win and we will do a raffle here or whatever that's called. Like we'll pick the winner in a few weeks. We'll let you know
And
what date that is based on when this airs.
And whoever is the winner, even if you've done a foundational reading with us or a couple of readings with us, we will tailor this reading to wherever you are in your journey. And I'm really excited to celebrate in this way because another thing that has come up for us in, these changes and evolution of DayLuna is like, what do we really love? What do we get the most juice out of? And one of them is in-person readings, that online one-on-one or two-on-one, if you will, readings, because we just get to go so deep. And human design is obviously so completely multifaceted. It goes on forever. There is so much complexity. So it's amazing to be able to talk one on one or two on one in a container where we can really look at your chart and go there with any questions you have, with anything that you're going through, with any dreams you have. We can look at support from your chart. And there's so many details and nuances and ways that things come together that's so multi layered. That's really where the magic happens. So we're really excited for this giveaway. We cannot wait to meet with the winner. And, in this podcast, go like zooming out from to the opposite perspective, if we're thinking about how human design can be applied to the world at large. The world at large, we do not expect to learn every detail and nuance of human design. We just don't. We know that that's our job to do that. And then to be able to really sift through those things and offer up what is going to be the most supportive and helpful for the collective to know. And that's where we get into this top 10 list today in this episode.
Yes. So, number one, if everybody knew on the planet whether they had an emotional wave or not, like, holy shit, this is the thing that everybody needs to know. I can't tell you how many people I see on a reality show or, in somebody's work or friends of friends, right? And seeing this person has an emotional wave and they don't know it. They don't know it and they're blaming, a situation in their life or a person in their life or they're searching to find the reason for why they're having this reaction when really they're just on a low on their wave or they're just on a high on their wave. And it's not something to grip onto or hold on to or explain away. It's just something to observe and allow and feel and have that beauty and connection with and relationship with. But it's not something that is meant to dictate, you know, your decisions. When you're on a low, that's not your truth. When you're on a high, that's not your truth. And if everybody knew that, there would be a lot more ease when it comes to our relationships, when it comes to our work relationships, when it comes to decisions that people in places of power are making, right? Like somebody who has a lot of power making a decision when they're on a low on their wave and fucking some shit up, right? Like if they just knew, oh, hold on, now is not the moment for me to make this decision because I'm on a low on my wave. And that doesn't mean that you're disempowered. It doesn't mean that you're weak or untrustworthy. Like it means that you are actually more empowered. You're more guided towards divine timing. You are more aware and in alignment and having self accountability and not putting your shit on other people because that's what it becomes, right? Like your emotional wave is so sacred and amazing. But when you try to blame how you're feeling on someone else, it becomes like this shit that they have to now navigate through or figure out. And really, then by the next day, you're already moved on, maybe. And this person's still having to navigate with, oh, they don't like me, or maybe they're going to fire me, or maybe I did something wrong. What do I need to change about myself? They're having to now deal with those repercussions because you weren't self accountable and aware and having that conscious relationship with your wave. You were having this dissonance that's now creating more dissonance in the world around you.
And when we were creating this list, we were really thinking about out of every person we know, out of the world that we have observed, overseeing thousands of clients at this point, what are the things that we're seeing that are tripping people up, that are holding them back, that are creating so much friction and not self in their lives? And this definitely was like the very first thing that came to mind because I have so many friends who know human design. They're my close friends in my close circle that are struggling, really struggling with what they would say is like bipolar, or like just being really depressed, or in relationships having these really huge fights that are just so unhealthy. And it's like haunting them, basically, this emotional realm, because they just don't understand it. And it's really interesting how, when we understand the energetic mechanics and the dynamic between my design, my mechanics, and your mechanics in a relationship, the understanding is what alchemizes the friction. So it's not a problem to be solved. It's life is something to be lived. But if we don't understand or have awareness of why it's happening, we can really create so much suffering and resistance and friction around it. And it truly can be something that haunts us and that brings us away from um, alignment in every other area of life. So it's also important to know, like, these are like the things that we wish they sat down and taught every single kindergarten class from the beginning. It's like, okay, these are the people who have an emotional wave. Here's how you navigate this. And these are the people who don't have an emotional wave, who are empathetic and open to other people's emotions. And that's important too, because those people are taking in and reflecting the health and overall well-being of those who have an emotional wave, the emotional maturity of those who have an emotional wave. So it's really an area where you could say it's almost like half the population and half the population are opposites. But when you really understand the mechanics, you realize that we're all in it together, that everyone who is undefined is reflecting and holding space for and being impacted by people who are defined. And so it really is all of us together learning how to deal with our emotions, but learning the nuances of it. And I do want to say that when people first learn about human design and they learn that they're either an emotional being with a defined solar plexus and an emotional wave, or they're a non-emotional being, that wording can be kind of tricky for people, because I've met so many people who are non-emotionals who have an undefined solar plexus, and they are like, I have a lot of emotions. Emotions overcome me. Like sometimes I'm have so much emotion inside of me, I feel uncomfortable. So trust me, I'm not a non-emotional. And it's like, well, here, let me understand the deeper energetics of why you feel emotions very like in a huge amplified version, right? It's very dramatic when you feel emotions from other people or from life or whatever. It's just not, it's a different, like, subtle frequency. And I think that if people understood those layers and depths, it would change family relationships. It would change our romantic relationships. It would change our leadership. Like Shayna was saying, being more emotionally responsible can lead to better teamwork, better collaboration, which ultimately is something that we absolutely need if we're going to create a better future.
Mm, yes. And it's interesting, the I can't remember, this was years ago. I was talking with this woman who was saying, we could never have a woman in leadership because they're too emotional. And at the time, we got in this whole debate, and it's crazy how emotions have been tied to your gender, because we just don't understand hormones and women aren't studied. And so we just lap in emotions into that. And everybody, regardless of your gender, regardless of who you are, could have an emotional wave, right? And everybody could be undefined emotionally and be amplifying somebody's emotional wave. So you can be somebody who has an emotional wave, right? And that when you're in this low mood, that like you've made decisions there that you really regret. Or when you're in this high mood, you made decisions there that you really regret, and you don't have understanding or awareness that you have an emotional wave, and you just assume that every single person has that same experience, has that same situation happening. But having the awareness of, oh, I was on a low on my wave when I made that decision. Now I know, and I can become neutral. And now I can make decisions with confidence instead of fear of regret or fear of whatever, um, and fear of commitment, right? Like we can make decisions with more clarity and confidence and self love and self trust, and not project what we're feeling onto other people, because people who have an undefined emotional center, right? They're amplifying those emotions, and they can really go into tiptoeing, they can go into um thinking that people are mad at them when it literally has nothing to do with them. There's so many not selves for either side. But once you just have that awareness alone that you have an emotional wave or not, literally it erases all of that other shit. Like it's so complicated until you just understand this. And it's like, oh, all of these problems I put in quote that I was having, or that my partner was having, or that my boss is having, or that, you know, that I think leadership is going to have because of my own personal experiences, all of that goes away literally in an instant through your awareness of understanding if you have an emotional wave or not. And so it's just so powerful, this information. And I feel like this alone, if we had to choose one thing, it
Yeah,
would be
it's
this.
definitely this is number one. And
Yeah.
like being able to know that when we look at the evolution of humanity, we're moving into the true era of being a nine-centered being, which means that the solar plexus is the ruling awareness center of our era that we're going to be living in. It's all about relating, right? So like through our emotional wave, you go on this journey of becoming more resilient, more emotionally mature. Through the journey of having an undefined solar plexus, you learn how to feel other people without being afraid. You learn how to disappoint people by speaking the truth and not being afraid of feeling their emotional reaction to it. Like it is the new currency that is creating unity consciousness, oneness consciousness. So in this new era with the changing of the keys, and we're going into this Phoenix energy where people are really learning what true individualism looks like, we're going to need the other side of that, which is the emotional realm, connecting, relating, feeling one another, having emotional maturity. And that ultimately leads to spiritual awareness. We're going to need that other side of it to balance the radical individualism and authenticity that's coming online. So, this is definitely the first one that we wanted to go through because it is just so important. Honestly, if we could only pick one thing, it would be this that is taught in all schools throughout the world that will change the world. But getting into the second point here, we want to talk about having an undefined spleen and an undefined root. So these two undefined centers in the body are very body energy, right? Instead of mental, instead of communication, these are really about the body. The spleen rules safety and intuition and health and our immune system and instincts around all of that. And then the root is the center, a pressure center that drives you to move life forward. So these two energies really live in the body. And if you have an undefined spleen, which Shayna and I do, this is a huge place to really need awareness of because you anxiety comes from the spleen, right? Feeling unsafe in life in general comes from the undefined spleen or the spleen. So if you have an undefined spleen like we do, honestly, this has been something that has been a game changer for me because fear is something that holds us back from our highest potential more than anything else. And this is really the center. And if you go back to the root of why do we actually have fear, it's actually all about survival and safety. And that's been really like our primal human conditioning is we used to live from this splenic awareness center. So a lot of our fears around finances, around hurting someone's feelings, around our ego getting burnt on social media, it all roots back actually to our fear of survival. Am I safe? And so, if you have this undefined spleen, just knowing that you are picking up on other people's fears, on the fears of the world, and really being able to discern and to decipher what is healthy for you and what is not, and to trust your intuition in this realm is honestly a game changer.
Yes. And with the undefined spleen, this is where you can also pick up people's health conditions. You can like just like with emotions, right? That emotional center being undefined, with your spleen, you can amplify and identify with somebody's health issue that you didn't even that you don't have. And it's very real, right? It is
It's
so
so
real to
real.
where you all of a sudden your knee starts hurting and now you're like, do I have bad knees? And then your knee keeps hurting and then you're like, oh my gosh, I must have bad knees. And then you go to the doctor and they're like, well, we don't see anything wrong in this scan, but do a brace and do physical therapy and you go on this whole fucking journey. And then all of a sudden shift to focusing on something else and poof, your knees are fine. And you're like, wait, what? And so while you can still get your own illnesses, you can still get your own injuries and have your own health issues happening, you also can pick up and hold on to and identify with other people's. So the main thing here is to ask yourself, like, do I know where this came from? Like, did I trip and fall? Did I, get a like eat something funky? Like, whatever it is. Like, do I know where this came from? Did I give birth and I have some issues there, right? Then it's most likely yours. But if nothing happened to you and this thing came out of the blue, like maybe you have a random autoimmune disease that has no source. Maybe you have, this random illness that you went and got scans for. And literally every doctor after every doctor after every doctor is saying, we don't see anything. It looks fine to me. You look healthy. Everything seems fine. Then it might be, I want to say 80% chance it's coming from your undefined spleen. And this is a hard pill to swallow, but also like really calls you out because if somebody said to you, okay, this illness that you've been really struggling with and has been controlling your life, you can do
And
something
has
right
been
now in this
real.
moment. Yeah, it's
You
been
have
real, right? It's
had
been
the
very
skin
real.
you have had the skin rash to show. You have had the asthma where you can't breathe. Like, whatever it is, it's been a real symptom.
Yes, a very real symptom. It's not like something you're imagining, like it's real. If somebody said, okay, if you just shifted your awareness or had this one little magic wand wave over you and it was gone tomorrow, like literally gone tomorrow, would you feel happy about that? Or would you feel like, no, that can't be that. There's got to be a pill. There's got to be a doctor. It's got to be a part of my story now. And there's some part of you that actually is getting a secondhand benefit by having this identity or by having this connection or relationship with this thing that you're holding on to. And I'm speaking from my own personal experience where I've been like, no, I get migraines. I get migraines. That's just who I am. That's just what's been happening to me. But if I really get back to it, it's like, no, migraines started around this time. They came out of nowhere. I've actually never had migraines my whole life, but I just started having them. Maybe it's hormonal. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's that, blah, blah, blah. And if somebody just said, hey, you're willing to try all these tests, are you willing to try thinking that it's just your undefined spleen? Like, are you? And it's like, a lot of people want to be like, no, I want to try all these tests. It's like, okay, why? Because you're identifying with that story. And for some reason, the secondhand benefit makes you feel empowered, makes you feel important, makes you feel seen in some way, makes you feel like you matter in life. Like, really, it does call you out to that level where I had to ask myself, like, oh, my secondhand benefit is that people pay more attention to me. My secondhand benefit is that it makes me feel like life has more meaning. Why? Why does that mean that for me? And once I dug into that, it's like, oh, okay. And literally, poof, it's gone. It's gone, which is insane to say, but it really is. And that's how you know it's coming from your undefined spleen. So I just want to plant the seed because I know that this is triggering for people with an undefined spleen that have an illness. Speaking of myself included, but also many other people that I've observed this with, if you have something that's out of nowhere unexplainable, it's often because you picked it up from someone else and you're identifying with it as your own. And now it's become a comfort zone. And maybe just try to say, wow, I picked that from someone else, not my life, not my life, not my life, and see what happens.
And the reason we included this on this list is because we've seen it really detract people from their path. We've seen it really derail people, including ourselves. So it really is something that can change the game. And kind of in the same body realm, the undefined root as well is a big one that does not get enough credit. People do not talk about the root center enough, but it is one of the two pressure centers, literally the thing that drives us to keep going, to burn ourselves out, right? And if you have an undefined root, there is such an enormous amount of pressure to just completely go past, way past when you're done, and to feel like relaxing and resting is just, it can feel so uncomfortable, like physically uncomfortable in your body. And if you have an undefined root, this is definitely going to be a daily occurrence, something that you feel every single day. Whereas if you have an undefined spleen, I mean, I still feel my undefined spleen quite frequently. Like I'll just literally be in line at the grocery store behind someone. All of a sudden, my body feels sick to my stomach or something like that. So I do feel it quite frequently. But I think that having an undefined root is like a constant daily check in that you have to actively pump the brakes. Otherwise, the pressure in your body, the anxiety that you can never rest, that you can never just wait, that you can never let life unfold, you're constantly pushing against the natural flow and gravity of life. And it can really add a lot of kind of anxiety in the body. And I think
Stress.
hypervigilance, stress in your nervous system. So Shayna, do you want to add anything to that since you are an undefined root queen?
I am like the most undefined root queen with like almost every
All the
single
gates.
gate
Which the more gates
activated.
you have coming from that undefined root, the more you're going to want to use it
Do.
or be in the maybe perhaps the not self of those qualities.
Yes. So this is where if everybody knew this, they would stop pushing, they would stop forcing, they would stop burning themselves out so much because they would understand, oh, does this have to be done right now? Like, is it emergent? If it didn't happen today, would there be really bad ramifications? No. Okay. Then am I just doing to do? Noted. Let me sit my butt down and do nothing and see that as productive. And it helps you to take your power back. It helps you to find more alignment and to not run yourself into a little uh I'm like, I keep seeing the little like where you're running in circles on the like ground and you just are like digging a hole down into the earth and you're like buried now. That's like the image that comes up for me with this undefined root is like, I'm going, 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 going. Like I'm digging this hole, but you're literally digging to nowhere. And then you look and you're like literally buried under the ground. That is how it
Oh,
feels with this undefined root. But it feels like you're
sad.
being productive, but actually you're like just exhausting yourself for no reason.
What's the
Um,
quote from Ra? People with an undefined root are just in a hurry to die.
to die. Yeah,
Like
and
you're
I
in a hurry no matter what, and you feel like it's situational, but you realize that it really is like in the not self version that you're in a hurry all the time. Just you're just in a
yeah,
hurry to be in a hurry. And in the highest
it's like,
expression,
where
of
is it
course,
leading? It's literally
and
leading to the end of your life. Like, I
right,
feel that, like, I've said it so many times, like, on a trip, I'll notice myself saying, "Oh my gosh, I just can't wait till all my stuff is packed." And then once my stuff is
right.
packed, I'm like, "I just can't wait till I'm on the plane and I'm checked in and I'm have a drink in my hand." And then once I'm there, I'm like, "I just can't wait till we're landed in our hotel and like everything's unpacked out of my suitcase." And then once that happens, I'm like, "Okay, I can't wait till we have our first meal." Like literally, I keep doing like, "I can't wait, I can't wait, I can't wait," until like
You
the trip
never
is
land.
over
You never
and
land.
I never land. Exactly. Like
Yeah.
the trip is literally over and I'm still just like, "Oh, I can't wait till all my stuff is put away at home and we have our first night's sleep. I can't wait till the jet lag's gone." Like literally it just keeps going and going and going until you're dead. Like what you're in a hurry to just what? Get to the end of life? That is the undefined route.
Right. Okay, so next up, more undefined centers. This one we're moving higher up into the body graph. We wanted to lump together the undefined throat and the undefined G center. These two centers we see really being something that people need to know about. With the undefined throat, this means that you have inconsistent ability to communicate, or you have an inconsistent way to communicate. Your throat is very empathetic to other people's needs and how they speak, and you can try on different voices. You can use your voice to reflect back the voice of others, or the voice of those who are voiceless. So ultimately, it's a really powerful source of empathy in the highest expression, where you can lend your undefined throat to be the voice for a system or for a group of marginalized people. You can advocate for something outside of yourselves. And when it's in divine timing, it's just inconsistent. But when it is in divine timing, you can talk about anything. You can talk about yourself. You can talk about how you feel. It's just knowing that with an undefined throat, it's all about timing and it's not always going to be time to speak. So these are people that the lesson is to learn to be comfortable in silence and to learn that silence is beautiful sometimes, that just listening instead of speaking is powerful. It's confidence, it's healing for other people. And so people with an undefined throat, if they're not aware of these dynamics, they once again can sort of feel like this uncomfortableness in their throat, like they need to fill all of the open space in a conversation. They can feel like if they don't shout or keep talking or say something kind of shocking, that they're not going to be heard or that they're not going to get attention. And so the remedy for this is really the mantra of having quiet confidence. Think about someone who sits back, who listens, and they have this presence that is so magnetic. People are drawn to them. They want to hear what this person has to say. And channeling that is something that can really change it. And I feel like the undefined throat, it's something that doesn't take years and years to decondition from. I feel like you can decondition from it pretty quickly if you have full awareness of how it works and when you're doing it. But definitely, people with the undefined throat, it's like they really need to learn that open space and silence is beautiful and healing, and that they'll get attention if they have quiet confidence and speak when there's the natural feeling to do so, not just speaking out of uncomfortableness.
Yes, and that is actually so nurturing for you with an undefined throat, right? It's honoring the energetics there where once you start practicing it, it's like, "Oh, this feels so good." And it's not that
Yeah.
you need to just be a listener and never speak, like, absolutely not. So many people with undefined throats are powerful speakers. It's just knowing the difference between forcing something or flowing with something. And you're the only one who's gonna know, like, "Oh, I'm forcing this. I feel like I'm stumbling on my words. I feel like everything I'm saying, they're not really understanding what I mean. I feel like this is coming from a place of fear versus a place of joy and enthusiasm." Um, you're the only one who's gonna know that. So having that quiet confidence to really figure out the energetics and play with the timing and trusting yourself there versus just like forcing and not really getting through that to that clarity. That's all within your own wheelhouse, and it will change the world because if everybody knew this, then they wouldn't be forcing themselves into relationships or situations or conversations that are not right for them because it's coming from a place of, am I being heard? Am I being understood? Am I being listened to? Versus a place of authenticity and truth and alignment for yourself.
And I want to say that another thing, if we're thinking about all of this stuff being taught to children in the school and not changing the next generation, this is a huge one. So if you're someone who has a defined throat and you're around other people, children, your partner, anyone that has an undefined throat, knowing that they don't have consistent access to communicate, that it's like the time is not always for them, right? They have to wait until the right timing. Knowing that and to stop conditioning that person to need to be consistent and to speak on the drop of a hat. Like when I'm with kids that have an undefined throat, I learn from them to just sit back and enjoy nature and watch the sunset and look at the trees and look at the animals. You don't need to always be talking and to not just say, what do you think about this? And expect them to perform for you in that moment if they don't feel like talking. And it makes us uncomfortable because we've been taught that consistency is the number one quality that we should admire, and that someone who can prove themselves and show up and speak and get attention at any moment is the most powerful person in the room. That's not the way in the new paradigm. And so like when we're in a group circle, leaving space, and everyone's going around and sharing something, leaving space for, if a person has an undefined throat and they don't want to communicate, that they don't have to, that they can just listen, and that it's not something that's wrong with them, but it's something that should be celebrated because listening is, I genuinely believe, sometimes way more powerful than speaking.
Yeah, beautiful. The next in this same point is
We
undefined
kind of
G
cheated
center.
with
We
these.
cheated a little bit. Is the undefined G. And if you have an undefined G, go and listen to our undefined G pep talk that we did a few episodes back, because that's going to really give you a lot of clarity there. But if everyone knew that, um, that their home, that their identity, that their soul, that their self-love is not located outside of themselves, but it really is within. And it's not something they have to go seek or find or pursue, but really it's accessible from within themselves. I think that that would just change the world. And also getting clear on, oh, I'm amplifying this person's path. That's why I am drawn to them. That's why I am passionate about this thing right now. But if that shifts and changes, that doesn't mean that I need to have an identity crisis. It's me understanding that I'm now going to reflect and amplify something else. And that's just another point on my road trip, right? We talk about that in that podcast. So releasing that fear of um or noticing when you might be having an identity crisis, and really checking yourself before you get down on yourself about it, because you're meant to have changing connections, changing paths, changing passions, and celebrating that.
And the fact that in high school, at least when we were in high school, that you in 10th grade, when you're 15 years old, your teacher started saying, what do you want to major in high school? Start picking in college, start picking a college, start picking a career path, pick something that you want to major in now so that you can apply for the right program. And then when you're 18, you solidify what you're studying and getting your degree in your one special zone of interest or your one passion. That's really not right for anybody at that age. But for an undefined G center, it should be illegal to say, pick one thing that you want to study and you're going to commit to it for the next 4 years, but you're only 18 years old. Like that is just not how an undefined G center works, because they're meant to have many different interests. They're meant to be free flowing. They're meant to be able to study different things with different people at different times and have different passions. Kind of the same way that anyone that's a manifesting generator, we hear them talking about, we talk about them being so people who need variety. Anyone with an undefined G center is the same. And just knowing that, holding space for the fact that not everyone has their one or two passions for many years at a time. If you're an undefined G center, you're meant to flow. And that's your strength. That is the medicine that you bring to the world. Okay. Next up, the next point that we had to add on to this 10-point list is the fact that you're a projector. You need to know that. Every single projector in the entire world needs to know that they're a projector, because if they don't know that they're a projector, we're not going to be able to build a future that we really want.
And also, the whole world needs to know that projectors exist. Like that would
Yeah.
literally change the world. Like not everybody is meant to work 8-10 hour days. Like not every 8 to 10 hour days, I guess I should say. Not everybody is meant to have the same energy levels. You don't have an autoimmune disease, you just are a projector. Like you need rest. There's
Or
nothing
maybe
wrong
you
with
do
you.
have an autoimmune disease because you're a projector. Either
Yeah,
way.
either way. And I'm not hating on autoimmune diseases. I'm just saying that we blame so many other things other than the fact that we're trying to force a circle into a square hole into a circle hole. You know what I mean? Because a
Square peg in a
circle
round
would,
hole.
yeah, because a circle would fit into a square hole. So I said that wrong.
Well, it depends on the size of the circle.
And the square. Okay. Um, but so many of our issues is that we're trying to shapeshift into something we're not energetically. And if everybody knew that projectors exist, we'd stop trying to beat people into submission to be like them when they're not. So understanding that you're designed to work 2 to 3 hours a day and being honored in that, whether you're honoring yourself or your boss is honoring that, or, you know, the mainstream is honoring that, that would change the world, because it would allow projectors to step into their genius, to step into their role, to guide where they're meant to guide, and ultimately guiding us all into a better future. So I don't think we need to linger too long on projectors because we have a lot of content out there, but that
Well,
would change the world.
I just wanted to say why projectors out of the 5 types, because we believe that everyone needs to know their type in general for all of the types. But projectors are the newest type. on planet Earth. They are the newest type of aura energy body that exists. And they are the type that is here to lead all of the other types into alignment in the new paradigm. So projectors are a pivotal and important part. Them coming in to, human evolution is a defining moment that's changing the world. And for projectors to be able to help everyone else live in authenticity, alignment, and harmony, they need to know about it. They need to honor their own energy. Other people need to be ready to receive their guidance so that we can all operate as a collective. So, in the old paradigm, like manifestors were often that kind of role that was really guiding other people and telling people what to do and being that first initiator. And now the new world that we're building in the new paradigm is going to be everyone being their own independent authority, but guided by projectors who can give them that advice, that guidance, show them a system that can really empower them to become their own guides. So that's why we
Yes.
included projectors in this list. And moving on, we want to talk about point number 5, some really important gates. Obviously, there's so many gates that are important, but these 3 are the ones that we see being an issue if people don't have awareness over.
Yes. So the first one is gate 60. This is this energy of wanting to move things forward, having forward progress and momentum, but then it's not consistent. It has this like pulse on, this pulse off, where it needs to be off, right? We like to say it's an arrow shooting forward, amazing, things are moving, and then it needs to pull back. And that's where we come across a roadblock that we can't overcome, or nothing's happening. We feel like we're pushing a boulder uphill. And this specific gate can create a lot of depression in your energetic body because you're trying to push things forward, but this energy is trying to pull back. And so you have this feeling of friction in your energetic aura that's keeping you stuck in place. And you have this feeling of, well, then what's the point? Like, if I'm trying all this stuff, nothing's happening. What is the point? Like, why am I doing this? And you can keep yourself there for years if you keep fighting this energy. It's really about noticing it and being like, oh, this is that arrow trying to pull back. Okay, let me embrace this pause. Let me allow where I'm at. Let me allow myself to be uncomfortable and to know that there's nothing that needs to be done here. Now, the reason why this is so important for everyone to know is because this is also like the master problem solving skill. Like you are amazing at solving problems, of finding workarounds, at getting things moving forward if you have gate 60. So it's really hard to know when you come across a roadblock and that arrow is trying to pull back, you're on the down pulse. Is this a problem that just needs to be solved? Or is this that energy trying to pull back? And if it, the main thing to look out for is I feel like I'm pushing a boulder uphill and nothing is happening. Okay, it's time to like just let the boulder go. It's time to literally embrace where you are, have acceptance that creates this transcendence for it to then move forward again. Don't fight that friction in your energy. And if everybody knew that, I think that, well, there's a lot of places in the human design chart that um, can lead to depression and anxiety. And we're definitely going to do a lecture or summit or a talk on all of that someday soon. But a lot of people have gate 60 and this might be the root cause of their depression. So that would help change the world.
And if we're looking at someone's body graph and we see gate 60, boom, that stands out to us. You need to know about this because it will color everything else in your life. All of the other
Yes.
aspects of your design are going to be colored by not accepting those times where you're just simply in a pause and those times where you're having quantum leaps forward and progress is happening. All of the aspects of your design are going to be impacted by that as well. So another gate in this is gate 50. We're looking at your body graph chart and we see gate 50, immediately it stands out to us and we say, you need to know that you have gate 50, which is the gate of values. We have nicknamed it the Oprah gate because this quality is all about having incredible human morals and values that you want to infuse into leading, right? Into playing big. And this energy has a fear of responsibility. The reason this is so important to us is because we are seeing all of these incredible humans that have amazing values, who are spiritual, who are connected, who have self awareness, and they are afraid of playing big. They are playing small with these morals and values. And this gate is about playing big. It's about getting over that fear of responsibility and freaking going for it and sharing all of the incredible wisdom and insight and spiritual awareness and maturity that you have with the world at large. So, anyone with Gate 50, you are here to do big things. It is crucial that you stop playing small and that you do the deconditioning work to get really clear on the areas where you have been playing small. And it is tricky because anyone with Gate 50 is such a beautiful person. They care so much. They want to have conversations that include people. They want to have communities that offer support and education. They want to have people go deeper in their spirituality without excluding anyone. They're very inclusive. Like everyone is welcome here. That energy belongs at the top. That energy belongs in the power seat. And so it is really like part of your sacred mission if you have Gate 50 to do that healing work, to stop playing small and to take the responsibility to infuse the biggest, most beautiful, most impactful version of your morals into the world. So think of
Mhm.
yourself as Oprah. If you have Gate 50, know it's important. And the next gate, anything else you want to add to Gate 50, or we'll go to
No,
Gate
the
44?
next gate is gate 44, which this energy is one of the biggest places where a lot of our stories come from, specifically stories around the past repeating itself and feeling like that's just how the world works, that's just how things are, that's just who I am. Um, Stories or limiting beliefs around addiction or patterns, like having an identity of like I'm an alcoholic or I am my dad was abusive and so that's now why I'm like this and that's just who I am. That's just how they are. They're never going to change. Whatever those stories are that are ultimately disempowering us. And if everyone knew about this gate, right, you would be catching yourself every time that you say something like, that's just how work is. Nobody likes their job, right? That's a huge story that a lot of us have of like, I don't like my job, but nobody likes their job. That's just how the world works. And because you're able to see these patterns, you're able to change them. I like to say for all of you Game of Thrones nerds out there that this is Khaleesi energy about breaking the wheel. Like you are here to break the change, you're here to break the wheel. Ultimately, this is about freedom, liberation. This is about creating a new pattern because you're able to see what the pattern is and then change something so that way a new pattern moves forward. So people who have this sometimes outwardly they work with helping people break limiting beliefs or break addiction. But also they might find that they have a lot of stories that maybe are holding them back. Maybe they have stories that are propelling them forward and are empowering them. Not all patterns are bad. Not all stories are bad. It's just about identifying like, is this a story that you're claiming and it's actually disempowering you and you're giving your power away to this thing? Or is this a story that you're claiming that is propelling you forward and giving you more freedom and liberation? So, gate 44, I feel like this, whenever I see that in someone's chart, I can hear, like, I don't even need to see their chart. I can hear it in the way that they speak. And
Mm.
the I'm not saying that addiction isn't real. I'm not saying that, these stories aren't real, that the workplace isn't disempowering or that isn't how the world works or that your dad wasn't abusive. Like I'm not saying that those stories aren't real. I'm saying that when you identify with the story and you let it have power over you to where now that story is actually making your decisions of, "Oh, I can't go to this party because maybe I'm gonna drink," or, "Oh, I can't, do this thing because I was never shown what love looks like from my parental figure." Like, when you let these stories make your decisions for you, you're not gonna be using your strategy and authority. You're going to be ending up in a place of misalignment, of dis-ease, of resistance, and causing a lot of, friction and harm in your life and in the world.
And we're talking about these 3 gates if you have them defined in your chart, but I wanna say that even if you don't have these 3 gates, like I don't have any of these 3 gates defined in my chart, it doesn't matter. These are very important themes in humanity. So, chances are someone you love has one of these, one of your kids has one of these, or you have to navigate this energy just through the world and through picking up other people in general, through the transits. Like these are themes and lessons that I feel like do apply to everyone at different points in your life. But if you have one of these gates defined, it is a consistent theme, a
Yes.
consistent quality, a consistent lesson. Lifelong, you're here to learn. And then ultimately, you're here to share and teach the highest
Oh,
expression and
and if
condition other people.
your child has gate 44, like noticing when they say something like, that's just how I am, or that's just how things are, and being like,
Yeah,
wow, that's amazing that you see that pattern. How could you shift it? What could change to
right.
make it a new pattern? Giving that power back, because we are all empowered to rewrite our stories to break ourselves free.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next point, number 6, is, we've talked about 100. Number 6 is if you have a 5 line or a 3 line. And if
So maybe
everyone
you're three,
knew
maybe
they were
you're
a
a
3
3
5.
5 profile, maybe you're a 5 1 profile, maybe you're a 1 3 profile. So any profile that has a 3 line or a 5 line, these are the specific lines that we're like, you need to know. We all need to know that you have
Yes.
these.
And a 5 line, if you have a 5 line, understanding that people are projecting onto you what they want you to be. So people aren't going to see when you're struggling. They're not going to see when you need help. You have to tell them, because if they want you to be fine, they see that you're fine. And they'll be shocked when you tell them, like, actually, I could use help with this. I'm struggling with this. Whereas you are really good at seeing when people need help and stepping in if you're a 5 line, but people can't reciprocate that. And that can feel really lonely sometimes. Also, if the world knew about 5 lines, like knew their partner had a 5 line, they would understand, oh, maybe I'm projecting onto them that they don't like this, or that they're bad at that, or that they whatever. And I'm not giving them any space to be who they are, because I'm forcing them to live under what I think they are or who I want them to be. So just that awareness alone, I think, can change a lot of relationships and empower a lot of people to step more into authenticity and saying yes to things that are actually aligned for them, versus saying yes to things that they feel other people want them to say yes to or expect them to say yes to because of that projection field.
Yeah, like the whole medicine with the 5 line is knowing like I don't need to be what you expect me to be. And I'm okay disappointing you because I'm only going to do what's real for me and I'm only going to be who I really am. I'm not going to live to up to the pressure that you're putting onto me or the expectations that you're putting onto me. And
Yes.
that's such once again like such a powerful lesson for all of us. Chances are you probably have at least one gate in your body graph that is expressed through the 5th line, but if you have that 5 in your profile, it's like the main energy that you play, the role that you play on the stage of life. And then the other line here, the 3 line, is of course the martyr. This energy is all about discovering through trial and error. So, a huge theme in the life of a 3 line is being okay making mistakes. And if you are a 3 line, knowing that you need to discover for yourself and that going out and getting your hands a little dirty and doing something, whether you don't know if it's going to work out or whether you do know it's going to work out, is necessary. It's needed. It's the way that you find and discover things that then you can report back to other people. You can help the world advance forward. So I think about all the time, like the people that have moved us forward, moved the needle forward on inventions and discoveries, definitely 3 line, like the back to the caveman era of like the first people that were trying foods and being like, this is poisonous or not. And the rest of the community was like, thank you. We are benefiting from you being brave enough to go out and discover something. People that are inventors, people that are pushing the envelope forward and questioning things. And ultimately, I feel like that 3 line really has this resilience and this bravery in its highest expression to once again break the mold and to do things that have never been done. And that energy is so needed right now where we are in the point of our evolution. Everyone needs to be cheering 3 lines on instead of tearing them down when they find something
Canceling
that
them.
doesn't work.
Yeah.
When
Canceling them, or, labeling them as a fuck up or whatever that is. I think that if people know that 3 lines exist, like, there's no such thing as mistake. You're just learning, you're making discoveries. You are, putting yourself out there, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, and that's okay. Understanding that, your child has a 3 line, for example, if every 3 line out there had a parent that understood that, um, there's a tendency for them to get blamed, whether it's their fault or not, then that I just like my heart hurts for the little kids that have a 3 line. Like, I literally see them getting
yeah,
blamed for something that they didn't do,
totally.
and them feeling like, "Yep, that's just how the world works, right? That's
I
just
see
how things
adults do
are."
that. I see
Yeah.
adult three liners, my close friends, that literally everyone blames them for everything all the time, whether they were there or not there, whether they did it or didn't do it.
Yeah,
And
and I've
it's
done
fucked
it.
up.
Like,
Oh
I
yeah,
literally
same.
when we were in Egypt,
Same.
Jared is 6'3", and, I literally there was something that happened, and I was like, "Oh, Jared," and then I was like, "Oh my god, look, I blamed you just first knee jerk reaction because you have a 3 line. Like, I'm sorry, Jared. Little baby Jared got blamed for everything." And
He really
he's
did.
like, "I did. I really did. It's always my fault," like, jokingly, you know? And so it's just knowing like, okay, there's like we're meant to discover and explore, and you might be just blaming every 3 line unconsciously, like take
Mhm.
accountability, or just holding space and reframing there's no such thing as a mistake. So, I think that that would
Yeah.
be powerful for people to know and people to know about them, right? The next one, point number 7, the channel of struggle. If you have the channel of
Dun dun
struggle,
dun.
you need to
The
know.
channel of struggle. It needs its own like Indiana Jones, like epic
Yeah,
badass song.
like with a whip at the end. I
Oh,
do
I
it, but
see
I'm
them like
sure
walking
that
over a
Zoom
we'll block it out.
block
I
it
see them
out.
going over a swinging rope bridge with like wind in their hair and they're carrying like all of these bags and they're like channel of struggle. Dun, dun,
Yeah,
dun,
and then
dun.
it's like whoopsh, and it
Yeah.
has the little did you hear that? And then it has
Yeah, I
the
did.
little
It was
whip.
sounded great.
Because the reason why is because the channel of struggle ultimately is about taking on life and standing up for what you believe in and having a mission and feeling really like life is worth playing, right? It has gate 28, this energy of the great game player, like seeing life as this game that you're meant to play and that you're meant to take a risk on and up level and take things on. Like life is worth fighting for. It gives a lot of meaning. So it's called the channel of struggle because taking on a challenge can bring a lot of meaning to your life. Now, if you aren't connected with your mission, the things that you believe in, um, getting really clear on like the world would be a better place if what, like having that confidence of knowing what those things are for you, then you can create struggle everywhere you go because you're subconsciously or energetically trying to create meaning in your life, right? So gate 38 here is coming off the spleen, which is like a splenic fear, right? I mean, sorry, 28 is coming off the spleen, which is a splenic fear um of taking risks and kind of going back to what I was talking about with the undefined spleen of feeling like life isn't uh I need meaning. Like I need something to happen for me, like health-wise to give me meaning. This is that struggle energy wanting to give meaning to your life. So if you're not clear on what those are, you can be on the struggle bus all the time with the channel struggle. Sorry if I explained that in a confusing way. I just mean that the spleen gives off this energy of through gate 28 of like let's give life meaning through the things that we are taking risks on, through overcoming fear, through doing the thing now and not being afraid of like it's too late to do this thing, but really just doing it now, right? So when you have that connection to that purpose, to that like what's worth taking a risk on in my life, what's worth fighting for, then this energy is being used, right? And you're not struggling with everything in your life to bring meaning there. You are channeling it into a way and to a healthy way of using this energy. So if you notice that every day you're like, I'm on the struggle bus, like I hit traffic and then this happened and then I had to return this thing, but I lost the receipt and then this other thing broke, like you're on the struggle bus. It's time to get clear. What are the things that I believe in? What are my little mini missions? Like, it's important to me to have a morning routine because of this. It's important to me to connect with my partner in this way because of that. Like, what are your mini missions? What in life do you feel like is a game worth playing? Then you're not going to be on that struggle bus and bringing that struggle energy into, your day to day mundane random shit.
Absolutely. And just having gate 38, which Shayna and I both have half of this channel, which gate 38 is the part that's the gate of the fighter. Like, I really resonate with this too. Like, are you fighting to just fight, or are you fighting for something that matters to you, that's aligned for you, because it transforms your life? I also want to add into here gate 51, the gate of shock. If you're not if you're not doing things that are shocking and astonishing in a positive way, that are helping move the needle forward and expand consciousness, you're just going to be doing shocking shit that, doesn't add anything to your life. It just deters you from your path. And then the
Sneaky
next
little point there.
I know. I mean, it's like the same. We've done that for everyone, anyways. Okay, next one, number 8 on this list of 10, we're getting towards the end here, is about your environment arrow. If we're looking at the variable arrows on the 4 arrows outside of your body graph chart, we're talking about the bottom left arrow. That's arrow number 2, your environment arrow. This arrow really tells you about ultimately how your body is meant to move through space in an either structured and disciplined way or in a flowing and easeful and relaxed way. So if you have this arrow pointing right, you are designed for flow. You are designed for variety. You're designed to be chill as you move through your space. You're designed to be the observer in your environments. You're sitting back, you're watching it all happen. And these are people that are not meant to have a super structured, detailed, disciplined calendar and schedule. These are people who are meant to relax into things. And I feel like out of all of the conditioning around our daily routines and how to be successful, the number one thing we hear beyond consistency is just like having a routine structure. Like this is like the definition of being a type A person and getting things done is being like without doubt, every single morning you wake up at this time and it's on your schedule to work out at this time, to do this at this time, to have this really like disciplined structure. And that literally will crumble the life of someone who has this arrow right facing, someone who is designed for flow and is not designed to have structure and discipline and consistency in their routine, in the way that they move through their schedule. Their body will literally get sick if and feel contraction, feel stuck energy. If you're not opening up your schedule and leaving space to just be, that's going to be the way that you flow to the most success.
Yes, and I think that, it would change so many people's lives to know. It changed my life to know, "Oh, I'm not designed for discipline. There's nothing wrong with me." Doesn't mean that this other person who shows up every single day at 7 AM and does this workout every single day, doesn't mean that they're better than me. It doesn't mean that I'm a failure. I'm literally not designed for discipline in that way, and that permission slip was huge. It took so much pressure off, um, my undefined root. So, all these things, right, they connect together and tie in, depends on your chart. But number 9 is mangens and manifestors informing. And this is huge because it brings so much more ease. It helps things move faster with more connection and less friction. If manifesting generators and manifestors informed, which feels like a chore, informed what they're thinking, what they want to be doing, what they don't like, what they want changed, um, literally just informing from a place of just true authenticity, that would change the world. And even them knowing that informing is important for them to do would change the world because obviously they would need to know their type first, but if you have a manifestor in your life or your boss is a manifestor or whoever, if they just knew that they needed to inform to let you in on their world, then everyone else isn't trying to guess or isn't trying to assume. Like if we go back to the 4 agreements, making assumptions about manifestors and the manifestors feeling misunderstood, that whole dynamic is symbiotic, right? It's like one person feels like they have to assume because the manifestor's not informing. The manifestor feels misunderstood because they're not informing. And it's nobody wins there. So if you can inform as a manifestor or a mangen, that would help bring so much ease and connection to the world around us.
And if we're going into like a really nerdy specific energy mechanics conversation about this, anyone with a motor to throat connection has this manifestor quality. So then you'd either be a manifestor or a manifesting generator. And that motor to throat connection is the thing that gives you the ability to manifest energy moving in the physical world with your voice. So manifesting generators and manifestors are the people who carry the power to set change into motion energetically with their informing, with their voice. These are the people that are meant to stir things up, start things anew, catalyze other people, impact other people, inspire new directions. And literally, all of the other types are kind of bouncing off of the echoes of something that a manifester or a man gen put out into the world or did or said. And so, just knowing the power of how special it is that you have this manifesting energy, it's almost like automatically you're giving that gift to other people. But when you inform, not only are you giving a gift to other people, you're giving a gift to yourself. It truly is one of the most important things that impacts everyone else so much because you are so impactful, right? It's like all the other types, it's a domino effect. If you're not informing, you're not impacting and giving your gift the way that the world needs you to, because none of the other types have that motor to throat connection and can actually manifest or set energy into motion the way that you can. We're relying on you. We
Yes.
need you. And also, it's good for you. It changes your life. It truly is a win-win.
Yes, and it's so helpful if you notice that energy's feeling hard or there's friction or people are feeling misunderstood or whatever it is. You're feeling maybe like people are trying to control you. Just opening your mouth and saying that out loud will just instantly bring so much more ease and connection and let that friction energy go. So it does take you being that energetic leader and doing that first step of informing. And that is a lot, right? Like it's like, why? I don't want to have to do that. But once you do, you just see how much the world opens up to you. And it's really beautiful. So permission slip slash request to the world and the mansions and manifestors out there. And then number 10, our last point here, we tried to keep this short, but we failed.
Never
Um,
do.
we
We
never
try to
do.
keep it short, but we never do.
Yeah, number 10 is pretty basic, but it's the most important. I don't know. It could be number one is understanding that your mind is here to observe. It's not here to control and make your decisions for you. And like, can you like imagine if everybody on the planet knew that your mind is here to observe and analyze and process and teach and create um and share ideas, but it's not here to make your decisions. Your body is here to make your decisions based on your unique authority. And that would just relieve so much anxiety. It would relieve so much you know, contorted,
Control.
forced,
Yeah.
controlling energy that we have in a lot of our creations and a lot of our rules and a lot of how we treat each other or show up or set things because it makes sense, but it's not actually right for you. It would change everything. And that kind of weaves into using your authority, right? But if you just
Right.
could understand, like, oh, my mind, yes, my mind is brilliant. My mind has value, but it's not here to make my personal decisions, not putting all of our value on our minds, which collectively we've done for, this last chapter. Um, Coming back to our body's wisdom, our spiritual wisdom, our soul, our G center, our unique geometry, and our life path instead of our mind needing to quantify everything, make everything make sense before we move forward.
Yeah, and I feel like our mind, we really have like come from this materialist scientific era where it's like the only things that you can see and quantify are the things that are real. And we're changing that entire model. As we're awakening, we're realizing that consciousness is actually the base of our reality, that everything that our eyes can see is just an illusion of this version of reality. None of it is actually the real basis of truth. And we're coming from an era where it's literally like the things that our eyes can see, that their mind can actually see happening, that's what's real. And now we're moving into an era where everything that your mind can see is just an observation. It's not real. And the only thing that is actually real in the highest expression is your sacred inner compass that comes from your inner authority in your body. So if we can start making that shift, our minds are brilliant. Our minds are so powerful. Are truly like human minds are brilliant, but they're here to observe. They're here to be the passenger in this lifetime. And our sacred inner compass, that is this ineffable, ethereal, and deeply personally felt sacred compass, like that inner authority, that's what's here to guide us. If you get behind that in your own life, automatically it means that you need to get behind that in the way that you love other people. your children, your partner, your coworkers, anyone in your life. You need to use your mind to observe them. It's really important to see people and to witness them with your mind and to potentially remember things and teach them things and share things that can support them with your mind. But your mind cannot see their sacred path. Your mind cannot know their sacred truth. And if you can get behind this concept in your own life, makes it really easy to stop needing to control other people and to learn ultimately how to trust them, to be their own authority and to allow your mind to be the observer. Like this point right here is how we create peace and acceptance and also free our minds to do what it's fucking badass at, which is create solutions and teach things and observe things that are really going to help us change the world and solve the problems that we're currently facing.
Yeah. For example, we're all using our minds right now to understand this information and to give languaging to these things that are energetic and felt. So that way our mind can get on board to then be the passenger. Like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I'm not going to drive off a cliff. I can surrender to my body making these decisions because now my mind understands that it can let go of the wheel and it's going to be okay. So, we're using our minds with human design, right? And all of this languaging, we're using our minds to put
Absolutely.
languaging to these energetic felt body things. It's brilliant, it's needed, but you kind of have to get the mind on board first so that way it can let go and you can use your authority and you can fall into your alignment versus trying to force your way to somebody else's version of alignment and realize that it's not who you are at the end of the day. So, I know that this was so much information and we could talk a whole episode on each one of these points. Maybe we will in the future. I'm sure we will. But yeah, there's so much in human design. It's just the tip of the iceberg. But honestly, these points, if you're feeling called to share them in school, in, a class somewhere, in with your partner, with your coworkers, whatever, if that is aligned for you to be teaching this information as well, we encourage you to do so because there's so many people on the planet. This information needs to be spread and shared. So if you're feeling inspired from anything that you've learned here, have that conversation, share that thing, write that course, like be inspired, seed is planted, take it and run with it. We really are just wanting the world to be going in the direction that brings more love, unity, spirituality, and connection, which is where we're heading, but it's a little scary with this new paradigm. So, as we mentioned in the beginning, we are doing that giveaway. So, just a reminder, you can leave a review either on iTunes or Spotify. If you've already left a review in the past, years ago, you can leave it on Spotify or somewhere different. You can follow us on Instagram and take those screenshots, email it to us at hello@daylunalife.com with the subject line big love, and we will enter you in to win a free human design reading where we're going to dive into all of the specifics of your chart that are relevant for you right now and what you're navigating. And yeah, we love you. You know where you can find us, daylunalife.com, on our Instagram at dayluna. And if you want to join us in Besties and meet with us every month, we'd love to see you there and continue connecting with you. So, yeah, have a beautiful rest of your day. I hope that this sparks some interesting conversations in your relationships this week as you navigate forward. Thank you for tuning in with us today. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe to follow along and learn more about human design.